At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
All right, happy Tuesday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger of Weather NorCal. Thanks so much for joining us here on Coffee with Krueger every weekday morning at 7 a.m. We're starting off with the radar here. You can see where the snow is. Now, what we've been dealing with here really for the last few days is this colder air. I've been talking about the colder air to our north, and it's been migrating southward, but the coldest air has basically been in northern Siskiyou County, northern Del Norte County, and it looks like it's even starting to approach northern Trinity County as well. But that's where the most of the snow was. Remember yesterday we saw just that gridlock on I-5 near Wairika. Why? Because there was a ton of snow there. There's that colder air in place. Now, looking at the radar right now, it looks like the air has maybe moderated a bit here out towards places near Wairika. In fact, any chain requirements we had on I-5, they have been lifted. But there are still chain requirements on Highway 97, on Highway 3, as you get closer to Wairika, and a lot of chain requirements east of I-5. We'll get into that in a second, but this is interesting news. Some of you may have seen this kind of around social media yesterday, but here it is. The first 3 days of February, February 1, 2, and 3, we saw for the first 3 days at the Reading Airport a little over 6 inches of rain. The normal for February 1st through the 3rd is 0.61 inches of rain, just a little over a half an inch. The February normal for the entire month of February, 5.48 inches of rain. So we've already, in the first 3 days of February, have exceeded what we typically see for the entire month of February. Fantastic. Of course, we are certainly feeling the impacts of that with the flooding that we have seen. Now, what does it look like elsewhere? Red Bluff, Eureka, Crescent City, everybody seeing above normal rainfall. Not only for the normal so far for the month of February, but for the season, of course, we have been. If you remember, when I was reporting before the rain hit last week, I was showing you the seasonal rainfall totals. Mount Shasta was just above the normal rainfall for the season by 0.01 inches of rain. Of course, now you can see it's well exceeded that as well. Now, here's another thing I'd like to mention and kind of talk about here a little bit here, because you're looking at these towns, right? And you're saying, well, what about Chico? What about my town? Well, first and foremost, look at all those numbers on there. I'm going to start off by saying this map takes me a long time to make. I've got to get out there and get the data, and then I've got to update this map. That takes a lot of time. And there are a lot of different communities out here. Number two, historical data for a lot of Northern California is non-existent. It's very hard. If the thing is, I haven't found it if it's out there. But places like Chico, for example, I don't know a reliable historical source to give you historical data, right? So all of this data here, the normal, right, that's taking off historical data, at least for the last 30 years. Okay, so again, don't have that source for a lot of places you don't see on here. So that's kind of what I like to mention here. So yesterday I did something like this and someone said, well, what about Anderson? Well, of course, there's just no data for Anderson, historically speaking, as far as I can tell. So again, just wanted to kind of point that out. Let me get that out of the way here so you can see here for Ukiah. There you can see, of course, above normal for the season. Looking pretty darn good. Hey, I asked you if you could send us some of your photos of flooding. I asked, and of course I received from Tim Moore. This is out at Burney Creek. You see some of the flooding. There's been a lot of flooding out there, folks. Sacramento River, creeks and streams are really flowing big time. And of course, there's been some street flooding out there as well. Now, here's what I want you to do. Do me a favor. And of course, I did this yesterday. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to ask you. Share your photos from the free Weather NorCal app, whether it's flooding, if you see snow. Of course, as you know, snow levels will be lowering here over the next few days. As a result, there are going to be areas that typically don't see a lot of snow that may see snow. And I want you to share those photos. Let me see those photos. I want everyone to see the photos. And it's very easy to do that. Just go to your iPhone, your Android, and download it, or upload it, that is, through the app. And before you know it, I'm taking a look at those photos here. By the way, if it's snow, anywhere you are, any photo, let me know where you are, number one. But number two, if it's snow, elevation. That's a big help because that helps me understand where the snow elevation is. All right, let's get to, before we get to that, let's check in with some of you this morning. We've got some people checking in. Curtis Brown is saying that he has got, looks like here, windy and wet this morning. That's to be expected here. We've got some good mornings from some of you out there. Some of the regulars like Ruth Sanchez. Tom is saying good morning to everyone. We got Catherine Schmidt saying she really enjoys my coverage. 41 calm and sprinkles at 3,200 feet. Thank you for that elevation, Catherine. Old Shasta. This is interesting. Rob Burnett saying Lower Springs at 4.36 since midnight, 9.52 that is, for the month of February. Wow. Approaching 10 inches just for the first 3 days, really first, 3, close to 4 days. And then Robert also mentioned that since October, of course, that's when the season starts for California, 45.52 inches of rain. Well, thank you, Rob, for that information. That is also very helpful, and gotta love all of that great information. So thank you all for checking in. Of course, I love to see your data. And of course, it's a great way to share it, and we can share it with everybody so everyone sees some of those great totals and information. All right, now let's get into Krueger's Quickcast this morning, Tuesday, February 4th. And there you have it. Ooh, there's the top of my head. I have this small studio. Let's get you right to it. And you can see right now, temperatures are in the low 50s here for the valley, 30s and 40s for the higher elevations. Again, not too terribly cold out there, and that's one of the reasons why our snow levels are still, for the most part, fairly high out there. Now, we're starting off fairly dry for places like the North Coast and even parts of the Eastern Mountains, but by around 8, 9 o'clock, that will change, and we'll eventually start to see more of that rain moving in, which we'll see here in just a second. The winds are very gusty out there again this morning. You can see 30, even over 40 miles per hour here for parts of the valley, which, by the way, I forgot to check, and I'm going to do that here real quickly. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to go into, of course, you can see the winds there, but we're going to take a look at, what am I looking at? Why am I having a hard time figuring this one out here? That's not it. Oh, shoot. I'm going to do this. Power. There it is, current power. Let's do number. Let's see if there's any power outages out there this morning. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in here. Let's see if there are any. Oh, looks like we do have a few out in Plumas County, Siskiyou County, and in Modoc County. As of right now, I'm not seeing any in Shasta or even parts of the valley. But once again, you take a look at some of these wind gusts that we're seeing this morning. We might be looking at some power outages this morning for parts of the valley, especially up to the north here. But certainly, hopefully, everything is okay. We have a wind advisory in effect until 10 o'clock this evening. Could see gusts again, 35 to even 45 miles per hour. Let's take you through the rest of the day today. Noon, probably around 30 miles per hour for some of those peak gusts this afternoon. And then by this evening, the winds do start to die down for parts of the valley, but still very gusty to the east of that. And then by tomorrow morning, still breezy, but just not as strong with those winds. But take a look at central Siskiyou County. Once again, seeing some strong winds there and some pretty gusty winds for tomorrow morning along the coast. Look at that. Look at that. So look at the center of your screen. You can see the counterclockwise swirl of low pressure, and you can also see the speckled clouds. That is cold air. That's the cold air I've been talking about over the last few days that will eventually have an impact on our weather. And we're beginning to see some of that colder air, as we've seen the last few days, just kind of making its way into extreme Northern California. And we have that nice patch of moisture coming into Northern California as well, all the way from the Bay Area northward over us. A lot of flood alerts out there, right? We got a flood watch, we got flood warnings, we got flood advisories. We are going to go into all of this in much bigger detail coming up in our deeper dive forecast. But in the meantime, let's take a look at futurecast. So again, this morning, it's fairly dry for the coast, but you see how that's migrating northward through midday. Now look at the snow. It's approaching levels around like Hayfork, Weaverville. Probably not, I think mainly in the form of rain still at this point. But snow levels will start to drop through this morning. And what I've got here, by the time you go through the afternoon, snow levels between 2,500 and 4,500 feet. Now you're probably saying, well, why is there such a big spread in those snow levels? Well, again, we've been dealing with this weird kind of stationary boundary where the colder air has been mainly to the north, but we're starting to see that colder air slowly push to the south. So look at Bernie, about 3,000 feet. Looks like some heavy snow there, right? Look at Mount Shasta, 3,500 feet. Look at Hayfork, just around 2,000 feet, maybe a little bit below that. And looking at the potential for snow there. But look at Susanville, that's over 4,000 feet. That's mainly rain. So the colder air at this point won't have made its way into that area, which is why save around 4,500 feet. But when you hit up to Mount Shasta, Hayfork, maybe Hayfork, right? I think it'd be probably better chances going into tonight and tomorrow. But then look at that. The main stream of moisture is out of here. The widespread steady rain, we're done with that at this point by tonight. And now we'll be dealing with colder and unstable air moving in, lower snow levels as a result. Notice the snow levels, 1,500 to 2,000 feet. But keep in mind, a couple of things. Number one, it's going to be showery in nature. That is scattered showers, scattered snow showers, scattered showers and even possible thunderstorms for the coast. But number two, it's a fairly dry area of low pressure. It doesn't have a lot of moisture it can work with. Now, there's some leftover moisture from what we've been dealing with here, and that's why we're able to squeeze out some of the snow and some of the rain that we're seeing out there. But you see, it's not very widespread through tomorrow morning. And we'll get into a lot more detail as we go on even into Thursday. But we have winter storm warnings, we have winter weather advisories. There's a lot to unpack there as well. So let's take a look at the forecast road conditions. Now keep in mind when you're looking at this, this is what the roads will look like at that time. It doesn't mean it's particularly snowing at that time because there could have been snow, and then of course the snow sticks to the road and it sticks to the road several hours afterwards. So that's what we're looking at here. So let's take you to around midday. Looks like that snow is beginning to hug and get closer to I-5 near Mount Shasta City, but not quite just yet. And we're starting to see that snow get a little bit lower out towards Highway 299 west, 36 west. In fact, maybe even some snow on Highway 36. Cedar Pass, you're getting that borderline as well. But look at this, by 5 p.m., once again, that snow is hugging I-5 near Mount Shasta. But now we're starting to see it on Highway 36, Highway 3 between Highway 299 and 36, and Highway 299 west may start to see some of that. And look at this, it just starts to fill in by tomorrow morning. Now again, keep in mind, it's not widespread snow at this point. This is just saying, hey, overnight tonight, early tomorrow morning, we could be looking at snow, and that's going to mean better chances for chain requirements out there. And you're going to need to check those road conditions. Very important you do that. But as of right now, most of the chain requirements are northwest Siskiyou and on Highway 199 in northern Humboldt County, Highway 97 in northeastern Siskiyou County, and of course, plenty of chain requirements east of I-5. Highway 44 southward as you get closer to Tahoe. A lot of chain requirements there. Let's take a look at what it looks like right now. It looks a lot better on I-5 around Wairika northward, a lot better. That's why we aren't seeing chain requirements there, but that may change later today, especially going into tonight and tomorrow. Let's take you to the south now, Dunsmuir, I-5, Snowman Summit. I mean, look at the snow on the side of the road of Snowman Summit. It's all melting because it's all been rain, at that elevation at least. Looks like we're still seeing a lot of those cameras down, but there you can see Grass Lake on Highway 97. We're getting that little coating of snow on the highway there. Looks a little slushy. The camera, I don't know what's going on there at Collier Tunnel, but there you can see the snow. Looks like the roads, for the most part, are looking pretty good, but there are, of course, those chain requirements in this area that you're seeing right here. Buckhorn Summit, or at least below Buckhorn Summit, looks a little foggy and misty at Oregon Mountain and Berry Summit as well, but no snow there just yet. There's Hatchet Mountain. There is Four Corners on Highway 89, 299 intersection. Cedar Pass looks clear for now. That will probably change as well. There's a look at Shingletown, Lassen Park. Look at Bogard Ranger. What is that truck doing? He's going into the deeper snow. But yeah, you can see plenty of snow up there on Bogard Ranger Station. Here's a look at Chester. Look at that. I bet Chester, you got some snow on the ground there. This is just outside of Chester, Highway 36 and Highway 89. The intersection there, 4,500 feet, plenty of snow, chain requirements. For down your Summit, chain requirements there. And by the way, we can show you the chain requirements and what's going on now, but you have a very easy access to check out what's going on out there. And I want to show you something here. And I've been showing you this last few mornings, but you know, for those of you that haven't been watching or haven't seen this before, go to weathernorcal.com, scroll down, go on to the road conditions map or link, and this is the road conditions page that I made here at Weather NorCal. So scroll down and you can see here, this is just click on that map there, and that will give you the chain requirements. One quick thing that I'd like to remind you, if you click on that, I need you to, once you get here, if you don't see chains, go to Options, Road Conditions, and you can see the little checkbox by chain controls. Make sure that that's on. A lot of times, if you haven't visited this site in a while, it'll have the chain controls off, so you don't want that. All right, but here's what I've done. I've taken the more popular cameras from Caltrans over the mountain passes and some areas as well, and you can just at a quick glance see what the road conditions look like for all of the mountain highways in Northern California. Pretty cool. I love this resource. And by the way, you can go to weathernorcal.com on your phone if you're out and about. You can use the free Weather NorCal app and click road conditions, and you get all of this same information here. So just a great resource. I highly encourage you to check it out. Hey, let's check out the ski report. And this is what it looks like at Mount Shasta Park. I believe they saw about a foot of snow in the last 24 hours. There you have it, 66 inches out at the summit. Looks pretty good out there. And how about projected snow out at the ski park? Well, okay, here, look at that. Beautiful, right? Several feet of snow for the lower and upper part of the ski park. Very nice. All right, so for today, here you got temperatures low to mid-50s in the valley, temperatures in the 30s and 40s for the higher elevations. Of course, you've got the showers throughout the day. This morning, we'll eventually start to see it increase throughout the morning and afternoon for the coast. All right, so off and on rain. That's just going to continue through Friday, but look at that. We're drying things out for the weekend and drying things out for early next week. For the coast, inland and Weaverville. There you can see, of course, the snow levels. Now, snow levels will be lowering today, but still fairly high to start off. And I think on average, especially for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for Trinity County, 1,500 to 2,000 feet. So that is borderline Weaverville, Hayfork. Okay, you could see some snow. Mount Shasta, approximately 2,000 to 2,500 feet for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Alturas, 2,500 to 3,000 feet for those 3 days. And for Susanville, about 3,000 feet, give or take. Really 3,500 feet, give or take. And then we're drying things out. But look at how cold it's going to be, especially in those morning hours. Oh, like 8 degrees, 7 degrees, single digits, and around 10 degrees, especially for Alturas and Susanville. So it is just getting downright cold out there. Okay. Well, there you have it. You can see, of course, looks a little overcast and a little misty and a little windy, a little wet out towards Lake Oroville. This is what it looks like at Main Street Chico, Highway 32. If you look closely, you can kind of see things blowing around a little bit out there this morning. So yeah, a little windy down to the south. We've got Highway 99 at Neal Road, camber blown in the wind. It's wet. A little bit of ponding there on the side of the road. And let's take a look at Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. Looks a little wet out there as well, and of course windy. Before we get to that, let's take a look at what everybody's up to here this morning. Let's see here. We got no snow in Dunsmuir. Thank you to Cammie, I believe is how you'd say that name. Lots of rain though. That may change over though. Maybe not so much today, it could be close, but tomorrow, next few days. It's a possibility here. Watch the active slide in Douglas City Bridge. Is there a slide there? Okay, there must be an active slide there. Eesh. That's not looking good. Brandon Elwood saying, blowing very hard at the Reading Airport. Well, we saw those gusts when I showed you the gusts earlier. They were over 40 miles per hour. So yeah, crazy wind we got from Kit. What's this? He says, Mike, check out the powder buoy. I figured out how to predict snowfall for ski parts of Utah and from bout pops in the Pacific. Kind of cool. All right. I'll have to check it out. Powder buoy. I think it's pronounced boy. I remember learning that in college, actually. All right, good stuff. What do you say? You get right to it, because I see a lot of people are kind of chiming in or checking in this morning here. Let us get right to the deeper dive, shall we? Before we do that, we got to mention our sponsor. Have to, and I want to, right? And there is a reason why I want to, because without our sponsors, this free service that you are seeing right now would not be available. So thank you to Wind River, because at Wind River Resort and Casino, you can enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Once again, thanks to Wind River for all of their amazing support. All right, let's get you right to it. There is a look at the radar, and we've got the rain. Now look at this, see how it's drying out? But if you start to see the latest part of this loop here, we're starting to see this move in this direction, which means Crescent City, Eureka, Hoopa, all of these areas along the north coast will eventually see rain in the next hour or so. We are seeing the showers here for the valley, and of course to the east here as well. Not so much out in Modoc County or even into parts of Lassen County, but that's all going to be changing here as we take you through the morning and of course this afternoon. I showed you this a little bit earlier, but if you missed it, here it is. For the first 3 days of February, the Reading Airport exceeded what we see for the entire month of February. 6.06 inches out at the Reading Airport. There are other areas that did see more than that, by the way. Normally, for the first 3 days, we're at 0.61. Look at the difference. Look at the difference between the normal of February. Very nice. So we've already seen what we need. So we could be dry for the rest of the month, and we'll have more than enough, at least for the month of February, right? All right, but we don't want that to happen. Now, we're going to take a look at some of the others around the area as well and how we did. Of course, didn't see as much in really anywhere else. There are other areas, obviously, outside of Reading that did see more than that. Of course, we got some reports from some of you this morning indicating that. Let me get this out of the way here as well. But you can see here. Now, here's one thing. As you look at all these numbers, I just want to mention something. And here's the thing. You look at a lot of numbers there. There's a lot of data that I've got to find as well. This map can take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to update. And I'll tell you why, because it's all done manually. I've got to go find the data, which that's easy. They're all bookmarked. That's not a problem. But I've got to go in there, get the data, and then plug it into the weather computer here. And that takes time. Number two, for those of you, of course, you're saying, what about my town? What about all that stuff, right? Chico, I wish. And I'm going to see if I'm going to do a little bit more digging deeper, see if I can find something for Chico. But historical data, what you're seeing here relies on historical data, at least for the last 30 years. A lot of areas that you would think would have historical data don't, including Chico. And I can't give you reliable information on that. And that's very important. It's got to be reliable. I just don't want to give you just some random numbers, right? So these are all reliable numbers coming in from the National Weather Service. But unfortunately, the National Weather Service doesn't have any information coming in for Chico, for example. They do have for Oroville, but they don't have the normals in there. And it just gets a little iffy in some spots here. So very impressive. For the month of February so far, and of course for the season, we are doing just fine, folks. We're doing great. 51 degrees for Reading, 50 degrees for Chico, 53 degrees for Oroville, mid-30s out along the coast, 40 in El Tourist, and 39 degrees right now in Seussville. Not that terribly cold out there. The wet weather pattern continues through Friday with snow levels dropping over the next few days. Temperatures will be dropping. Dry, but still cool over the weekend and into next week. All right, thank you, Tim Moore, for sending in this image of Burney Creek. There you can see the flooded area there. We've seen flooding all over Northern California. Streets, low-lying areas, creeks, streams, and even the rivers have seen some flooding. By the way, I want to remind you, if you want to send your picture just like Tim did from the free Weather NorCal app, you can do that. I want to see the flooding pictures. I want to see what we're looking at here with snow. If you see snow in your area, very important, let me know who you are, where the picture is, and the elevation if we're dealing with snow. That's all very important. But let's get those out there, and we'll see if we can share more of those here in the days to come. There's the flash flood risk here for the areas in yellow, the higher risk, and even that marginal risk here outside of that. But here's the flood advisory, flood watch for the areas in green here through 4 a.m. on Wednesday. That just means that conditions are prime for flooding in all those areas, whether it's street flooding, low-lying areas, even creeks and streams. Now, a couple of red dots on here. That's in the moderate flood stage here for Pitt River and also out towards Eel River, just south of Eureka near Ferndale. You can see here we're mainly in the action state. So no area in the Sacramento River right now, as we're speaking now live, there are no flooded areas along the Sacramento River. I may have to, eat those words, because if you live along there saying, what are you talking about? It is flooding. It probably is, but based on the monitors coming out here, it is not. So, but there has been flooding over the last few days. So, but they have dropped below that flood stage in many cases here. But there still is a flood warning along the Sacramento River. What the warning means is it's either happening now or it's going to happen very soon. We're seeing those levels rise in many cases. So here you can see Sacramento River at the Red Bluff Diversion Dam. I did get a report from someone saying that it is very much swelled up and near that flood stage, and we're seeing that here. As we go through today, we're going to start to see it rise. It will peak at 2 a.m. Wednesday at 255.6 feet. 255.5 is the minor flood stage. So we're just going to get to that, and it will drop after that. We take a look at Tehama Bridge at the Sacramento River. It will peak Wednesday, right, at 2 a.m., cresting at 213.6. And, I can't see the number here. That's the normally, but you can see we're actually approaching the moderate flood stage at that point. You can see here at Vino-Woodson Bridge, it's going to peak or crest at 185.1 on Wednesday at 6 a.m. Then after that, it will start to drop. We take a look at the Sacramento River at Ord Ferry. It's going to kind of hover in that flood stage here and then drop after that toward the end of the week. All right, so that's kind of what we're dealing with there. Also, this is what we call an aerial flood warning. This is basically saying that there is street flooding and, of course, some low-lying areas flooding there, even in the creeks and streams as well. We're also going to take a look at a flood warning for Pitt River until 11 p.m. near Canby. Let's take a look at that. It's already flooding. We saw that. And that red, that's in the moderate category. It's going to hover there and not dropping below the flood stage until sometime around Friday morning. So it's just going to stay there for a while. All right, we also have a flood warning out towards northwestern Lassen County, meaning that flooding is occurring in that area. We also have a flood advisory saying, hey, listen, conditions are prime for flooding, so be aware of that. That's until 10 a.m. on Wednesday. We have a flood warning for the coast just near the Fortuna area. Now, this is at Eel River, which is already at the flood stage, but good news is it will eventually drop below the flood stage here over the next 24 to 36 hours. So what's going on? What's happening? Well, of course, we've been dealing with these atmospheric rivers here since last Friday through the weekend and even early this week. But now what's happening is, and we still have that nice flow of moisture coming in. So we still have that source, and that's the reason why it's still going to be a very wet day today. But another thing that we've got to watch, and I've been talking about this the last few days, look at this. This is really beginning to take shape. Area of low pressure, speckled clouds, colder air. You see how it's all pushing to the south. It's not really inundating us just yet. In fact, some of this colder air has made its way into parts of Northern California, but not everyone. That's why we've seen these drastic changes in elevation for snow from the north to the south. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with right now. That's the rain that we'll be looking at. So let's take a look at Futurecast, walk you through the timing of all this. Okay, so 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock this morning, we saw that it's fairly dry for most of the North Coast and western Siskiyou County. But that's all going to migrate, work its way northward through the morning. So midday, almost everyone's seeing rain or snow, not as much off to the east here. Now look at all the snow that we're seeing here. Some of that colder air at this point is going to start to move on down. So Wairika, Doris, Mount Shasta, you're going to be borderline, really, when it comes to snow, maybe a bit of a mix. Looks like it's getting close for Hayfork and Weaverville, most likely still in the form of rain. But we are starting to see, look at this, on Highway 299, maybe the potential for some snow on the highway there, Highway 36. But look at to the south. You see how we have this kind of this line right here. This is basically the line where we've got lower snow levels, higher snow levels, heading down to the south and east of that. So the warmer air is still in place right here, okay? All right, let's take you into Tuesday at 5 p.m. Now, I've got 2,500 to 4,500 feet, but again, depends on where you are. That's why there's such a big spread. But look at Hayfork. We could be looking at the potential for some snow there. Mount Shasta City, yes. Basically from Mount Shasta all the way up to the Oregon state line, we've got a chance for snow on I-5 there. But look, it's starting to dry out again, out along the coast here through the afternoon today. So through the morning, picks up, midday, rain. Through the afternoon, it begins to drop again, at least for chances for rain for the coast. Heavy rainfall for parts of the valley, heavy snow east of the valley. But again, look at Susanville. You're looking at mainly rain. That's a little over 4,000 feet. But look at Alturas. Actually, that's closer to 45. At 4,000 feet for Alturas, I think it's 45,000, but you get the idea. We're still seeing the snow there. Bernie, about 3,000 feet. You might be seeing some snow. So yeah, getting kind of interesting out there. All right, let's take you into 10 o'clock tonight. All right, so the moisture that we're dealing with here today still is an atmospheric river. It's that warm, moist air that's aimed right at Northern California, and that's what we've been getting here. But by tonight, that's shifting to the east. And at this point, we are no longer dealing with widespread steady rainfall, but instead scattered showers. At this point, by tonight and tomorrow, we're transitioning from the widespread steady rainfall to a colder and more unstable atmosphere. And what that means is scattered showers, maybe some thunderstorms along the coast, and scattered snow showers in the higher elevations. This is a colder, fairly dry system. It doesn't have a lot of moisture to work with. However, there's leftover moisture from all the rain that we've seen here, so that's good. But you can see it's not widespread, it's scattered. But I've got snow levels by tomorrow morning, 1,500 to 2,000 feet. Now, one of the things that I'm going to watch very closely, look at that snow right there. That's just in the foothills west of the valley. I'm going to watch the potential for parts of the north end of the valley, say North Reading, maybe city of Shasta Lake, Lakehead. The farther north you go, the better the chances, right? If we can get a little bit of a north wind, which I'm not seeing right now, but if we can get a little bit of a north wind, that might help to bring down those snow levels a little bit. We're looking at more of a southerly flow of winds, and that typically is not favorable for us to see snow when we're talking about the valley. So we'll have to watch that very closely. So it's not out of the question for a mix or something along that lines here tomorrow morning, or even snow, but we'll have to kind of wait and see. For now, I'm not going to set that in stone or really mention it part of the forecast. But you can see here as we go through midday, there you can see the showers, snow, 1,500, 2,000 feet, maybe an isolated thunderstorm along the coast. But once again, you see how it's not the widespread rain, but it's the scattered showers? That's because, again, it's a colder and unstable atmosphere, and that's why also we're seeing those lower snow levels. By the way, we could even see an isolated thunderstorm for parts of the valley as well. But check this out. Now we're looking at more of the widespread rain and snow. Why? Because the colder air that's spinning, and it's basically, there's a nice swath of moisture, just this nice little batch of moisture that's just sitting out there over the Pacific, that area of low pressure is going to essentially just draw into our area. But we're going to have the elements of that colder air, and that's going to mean lower snow levels. So Thursday morning, 1,500 to 2,000 feet with those snow levels. All right, we take you into Thursday afternoon, a little bit of a break, but still those low snow levels and still that rain. And eventually, this will all shift eastward, and we're drier, but still some scattered showers on Friday. And then by the weekend, it's all gone. All right, so here it is. Through Thursday, 5 p.m., I think on average about 2 inches of rain, give or take, for the valley, and less than that around the valley. Of course, you can see here less for the coast and less off to the east as well. All right, so here's the precipitation outlook. We're finally getting out of the green, and we're actually more in that near normal, which is, it's okay to be here, especially with all the rain that we've seen here. It's nice to see a bit of a break, and I think we're going to see that here for this weekend. and through at least the beginning, if not even to the middle of next week. So there it is. Just a very, the atmospheric river. You can clearly see that moisture kind of coming on in. But look what happens. That's shifting to the south, so we see less of that rain, right? Then by tomorrow, there's that colder air, not a ton of moisture to work with. There are the scattered showers that I was talking about. There's that swath of moisture right here. So look what happens. This comes in, it gets caught up in that flow. We've got the colder air in place. That's why we're seeing all the snow. Look at the Sierra. The Sierra is going to get dumped on with snow. That's fantastic news. We're going to see that snowpack really increase. But we're also seeing those lower snow levels for us here in Northern California as well, thanks to this colder air. Then that all shifts eastward, as I mentioned, and we still have the colder air in place, maybe a little bit of instability, a few light showers, a few snow showers here and there for the higher elevations. And then by Saturday, Sunday, it's all pretty much out of here. We're dry. We're dry through the weekend. We're dry for early next week as well. There's next Monday, next Tuesday. There it is. You can see a system right here that's approaching. So we may see some more activity by the middle to latter part of next week. Bring us some rain. So we'll get that nice little break over the weekend, just in time for the weekend. You want to talk about some excellent conditions out at Mount Shasta? Oh, yeah. I didn't say what you thought I said. I just kind of went, huh, yeah. All right. Anyways, it's going to be nice. Maybe Bluebird Day. Beautiful. But yeah, by around Wednesday, Thursday, that might begin to move in as well. So we'll see. But definitely a well-deserved break over the weekend and early next week. All right, we got advisories, winter storm warnings. This map just continues to change here. All right, these are numbers that I've plugged in here. And one of the things I want to remind you is that it's very tricky to forecast snow totals, especially in Northern California. We've got so many different elevations to deal with. And that's another. There are just so many elements when it comes to forecasting snow. Temperature, how much moisture we have to work with, snow elevation. I tell you what, if there's a drastic or unexpected change in elevation for snow, you can just wash that all out. It'll either be higher or lower than what you're seeing there. But this is just a general idea. And bottom line, for areas that typically don't see snow, some of the lower communities like, for example, Weaverville, Hayfork, I think once all is said and done, you could see that potential for some light snow. Shingletown, I think, is, as we go into parts of like central Shingletown, 3,500 feet, but of course more than that as you get closer to Viola, for example. Bernie, 1 to 3 inches. You can see Chester, 4 to 8 inches. Already I've seen some snow there this morning, a little bit less down to the south and east. But look at Etna, possibly some of the highest amounts here for some of these mountain, when you compare it to the rest of these mountain communities. Wairika and Mount Shasta City, maybe about 4 to 8 inches. So yeah, this is some snow. But when you see snow in these lower mountain communities, you can bet that there are going to be a lot of chain requirements out there eventually. Now this morning it's not so bad. You can see on I-5 we're all clear. You're fine. Okay, still slick probably, so I'd be careful. But Highway 97, Highway 96, there's Highway 199, chain requirements there. And look at all these. Look at all these tires. That's just basically chain requirements. That's east of I-5 and getting closer to Tahoe region as well. All right, so let's take a look at the forecast road conditions. This is not where it's actually snowing. It's just showing where the snow will stick on the ground. So sometimes you see the snow, and then this will show where that snow sticks too. So even after it snows, it'll still show the snow on the roadways. To kind of give you an idea what we're looking at here. So you see how we're starting to see that snow hug Highway 299, Highway 36, possibly some snow, very close to I-5. And of course, we're looking at more off to the east. All right, let's take you into 5 o'clock this afternoon. Beginning to see more of the light and dark blue. That's the colder air. So remember I was talking about, here's all the colder air, right? But the colder air is not here just yet. Cold enough to create some, kind of a mix, but not a ton of snow at that point. But by 5 p.m., look at Highway 299. I mean, again, it is just borderline hugging. But there's Highway 36, you bet. You're probably going to see some chain requirements there. I-5 borderline as well. That's 5 o'clock today. Look at this though. Watch it all just, see how the colder air comes right on in. All right, so now everyone, all of Northern California, down to as low, I'd say mountain passes as low as 2,000 feet, could be dealing with chain requirements. So there's Highway 299. I mean, everywhere in the mountains, right? So you get up to about 2,000, 2,500 feet, you're dealing with chain requirements. That's the bottom line here. So if you're traveling anywhere, I want you to make sure from now all the way through Friday, I want you to make sure you know what the road conditions are before heading out. There's a very easy way for you to do that. I've been talking about it a little bit earlier. Go to weathernorcal.com from your computer, from your phone. Click on road conditions right here. Here's what it looks like. Number one, there's a quick link to Quick Map for Caltrans, so that'll give you the chain requirements. But at a quick glance, you can take a look at all of the cameras and all the mountain highways around here, at least the available cameras from Caltrans, and you can very quickly and easily see where the conditions are. So at the time that this picture was taken, I mean, this is looking out at Mount Shasta, but then this was out north of Wairika, and this was central Wairika, right? So you can see here, oh, I'm okay going to Mount Shasta, but Wairika, probably not. So again, just a quick resource. And it's not just for I-5, it's for all of the mountain highways. Be sure to check that out. Really great resource. Here are the winds. All right, we do have a wind advisory here. You already may have noticed that, 30, 40, over 40 miles per hour. This is what it looks like through the rest of the day today. By noon, still gusty for the valley, eastward, even up into Modoc County, even parts of Siskiyou. But to the west of that, looks fairly calm, so the coast not so bad. 5 p.m., the winds are now shifting more to the east, so not quite as bad for the valley at this point. Very strong winds out towards Modoc, eastern mountains as well. Not as bad for Mount Shasta. Here we are as we go into tomorrow morning. For the most part, winds are calming down, but we've got the approaching storm system Wednesday. That's going to mean stronger winds along the coast. Winds starting to pick up through midday on Wednesday, even for the valley and across the board. Everyone's seen those gusty winds on Wednesday or midday, even through the afternoon, but they should start to subside here as we go into your Thursday. In fact, there's a look at Thursday, a little breezy in some spots here, but not as widespread with those winds. So along with the rain and snow, we're also seeing those winds picking up as well. There's your wave heights for today, and of course we take you into your Wednesday afternoon as well. They actually will start to increase a little bit here. Here is your marine forecast, and boy, I forgot to keep that clock up there. There's your marine forecast here. And there you can see the winds from the northeast at about 5 to 10 knots. There's your high and your low tide, and of course those rain showers for today. All right, speaking of today, let's take a look at your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures are going to be in the low 40s here for most of us. Now, the thing is, it's mainly going to be in the form of rain today, but I do expect as we go through the afternoon, some of these lower communities here could possibly see, at the very least, a mix. Maybe even some light accumulation, but I think the better chances will be tonight and into tomorrow. 37 degrees for Peanut, 39 degrees for Forest Glen, and High and Palm about 38 degrees. Let's take you down to southern Humboldt County, and there you can see temperatures in the low 40s, off and on rain here all the way through at least Friday, drying out by the weekend. Ferndale, 46. There you can see Fortuna, about 45, and 44 degrees for Hydesville. Let's take you out to Blue Lake with a high of 46 degrees, Willow Creek 44, and Blue Lake Eureka about 47 degrees. And up towards Smith River 48, 40 for Gas Key, off and on rain all the way through Friday, drying out for the weekend. Here's your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Snow levels for all of Siskiyou County for the most part. You'll average out around 2,000, 2,500 feet, especially by Wednesday through Friday. Snow levels will be slowly dropping, though, through the day today. That's including this for Scott Valley as well. Highs today only reaching somewhere around 34 to 35 degrees. Central, eastern Siskiyou County, same situation with those snow levels. Temperatures mainly in the mid-30s, give or take. A little bit warmer out towards McLeod with 40 and 41 degrees in Dunsmuir. Here's your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, and you can see Newell about 34. Now notice the snow levels. They're dropping again through today, and snow levels on average 2,500 to 3,000 feet for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. For the eastern mountains, I think Bernie, you could eventually see some snow later this afternoon and evening, probably in the form of rain to start off. And then you can see, I think Bernie, you've got that potential for snow for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All right, let's take you out towards Lake Almanor, Lassen Park, and of course we're looking at those temperatures around 40 around the perimeter of the lake, and for the park, temperatures in the low to mid 30s. All right, let's take you down to the south. Paradise, a high of 50, 40 degrees for Greenville, 45 in Janesville and Susanville, about 48 degrees. Let's take a look at the valley. Oh, by the way, let me take you back a map here. I'm going to show you here Paradise. Yeah, Paradise, 1,500 feet. Look at that. I mean, you could be borderline looking at some snow in Paradise. I don't know. Thought I'd mention that. Let's take to the valley to the south here, and there you can see this, of course, sponsored by Walgamith Painting. Temperatures in the mid-50s, 55 degrees for Corning, off and on rain through Friday. Looking at your 7-day outlook for Chico. There it is, off and on rain through Friday. Temperatures actually cooling off a bit for your Thursday, and it looks like we're drying out and warming up slightly for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but still on the cool side, especially overnight. There's a look at your valley to the north. Lakehead about 47, 50 for the city of Shasta Lake, 53 in Palisadro, Whiskeytown, about 48 and 53 degrees for Cottonwood. Here's a look at your 7-day outlook for Redding. You can see how those temperatures are dropping on Thursday, off and on rain through Friday, and then we do have those drier conditions by the time we do get into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. All right, so there you have it. That is a look at your forecast for the day. Hope you got the information that you needed here. We've got a couple of people checking in here this morning. Got a couple of quick check-ins here. Tracy Sackett saying good morning. Thanks, Mike. Hope everyone has a great day. Stay safe out there. And we've got Andrea, tomato. Thank you. Of course, thank you, Andrea, for watching this morning and chiming in this morning as well. I certainly appreciate that. What do you say we kind of wrap things up and take a look at some of the cameras out there? In fact, I tell you what we're going to do here to kind of wrap things up here this morning. We are going to go ahead and take a look at the Caltrans cameras. We're going to start off with the chain requirements, what it looks like out there, and then from there, we will kind of show you some of the road conditions. So until then, have yourselves a great Tuesday. Be sure to check in with the latest forecast updates through the day, 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. right here on Weather NorCal from Facebook. You can also watch on YouTube. You can watch at weathernorcal.com. You can also watch those latest updates from the website. You can also watch those weather updates from the free 24-hour streaming channel available on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, also available on all the other platforms as well. So there are a lot of great ways that you can check the latest forecast right here on Weather NorCal. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.